All right, let's get to our next guest and the return of Leigh Richardson. And we're really talking about, and Leigh Richardson, as you know, she's a brain health coach, a consultant, director of the Brain Performance Center, and talking about thinking about therapy and thinking about how it is becoming more popular with a new focus on mental health. And Leigh, good morning. Thank you for being here. I think this is a good thing as more and more people talk about mental health issues and mental health care.
Oh, I think it's a great thing because for so long there's been such a stigma around it that we didn't want to talk about it. We did not want to admit that we needed help. There was so much negativity. So I think we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's so important. Where do you see as far as trends happening now? Do you see certain generations, certain age groups that are more willing to talk about it? And then as well, I hear from more and more people, their insurance company, does it cover this kind of thing? How much will it cover? So there's an insurance angle to all of this for sure.
Absolutely. And I've been really surprised. The younger population, the late 20s, the early 30s, they are wrapping their arms around therapy. I mean, I had someone tell me yesterday, I love therapy. And I said, that's great. And I didn't know what else to say except that's great. And I have seen that even the older generation that have struggled with it because it was a different time and it's a different time today. But even the older generation is saying, I need some help. These are supposed to be my best years of my life. I've worked so hard. And now here I am. And I realize I'm not happy. Or, the bummer is the brain's fully developed in your late 20s. By the time you walk around to the late 50s and 60s, that brain is probably starting to experience a little bit of cognitive decline or cognitive impairment. And once you realize that affects your emotional well-being at the same time. One thing that I have seen that really makes me happy is the population that's coming in for therapy is a lot more diverse, a lot of different races, just a much more diverse population.
There was a new study, and I found this in Neuroscience News. So it was a new study that challenged some of the traditional beliefs surrounding the fact, that you should suppress negative thoughts, and that will lead to better mental health and mental well-being. And so the researchers trained their participants in their study to suppress fears and worries, observing that those thoughts became less vivid, and then participants' mental health improved. So in the past, I think we were told, face your fears, and now they're saying, deal with it. These studies are always interesting to me, and I know they want to make the news headlines, but what do you think about something like that?
Well, it's really interesting. I'm finishing up my PhD in February, so I've read a lot more. Well, thank you, but I've read a lot of studies in the last couple of years, and I've come to the conclusion that I can find a study to support any point of view, well, not any, but pretty much any point of view that you want to take. And what I have learned in my practice I've been doing this type of work since 2005, and that is when you suppress those fears, that the body keeps score of everything that's going on in the brain. You suppress those fears, you throw that autonomic nervous system out of whack, and then you start riding the roller coaster. Fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze. And that's not a healthy roller coaster to ride. So what my experience has showed me is that, and part of that may be I'm a CBT therapist, cognitive behavior. Negative thoughts create negative feelings that create negative behavior. Mm-hmm. My experience has shown me when you can deal with those negative thoughts, when you can deal with that fear, and dealing with that fear can be as simple as focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. And when you can deal with with the fear, with the riding the roller coaster, you do become more stable. Your brain becomes calmer. You find that you're more efficient. You're more productive. The quality of life improves.
Yeah, part of me thinks that when we talk about neuroscience and we talk about mental health, those in the industry, they want people to talk about their fears, right? They want you to go to therapy, and the old idea of sitting on a couch and you tell all your problems and you're going to fix it. Personally, I just think I don't want to unpack all of that. I've already successfully compartmentalized it. It's in a little box somewhere in the back of my brain, and compartmentalize, and then leave it alone. Let it go. Just poof.
Well, and if you're comfortable doing that, that's exactly what you should do. Because, and what I hear you say is you processed it. You processed it. You figured out, okay, you're going into the left corner. You're going to the right corner. Oh, you're going to the back.
Yes.
But you've done that processing. And I think that for a lot, that's what therapy is talking through what's going on and being able to process it. And a lot of people that come to the Brain Performance Center don't want talk therapy. They want to do the neurotherapy. They want to work on their brain. They want to get that brain wiring and firing in a regulated state. And so there's different ways that you can work on your brain. I mean, and think about it. The brain is an organ just like your heart. And if you think there's something wrong with your heart, what do? You go to a doctor immediately.
Yeah.
If you think there's something wrong with your brain, what do? Well, you'll have a few nasty conversations with yourself. Suck it up, buttercup,
Yes.
Power through, then. And those are inappropriate conversations.
But I think as well, there's more to it as well. You think about if you're having heart troubles, or whether you're saying with your brain, both of those, I think, change habits, change eating habits. And what are you doing differently? Physical fitness. What about prayer? What about prayer and faith?
I think prayer and faith is one of the biggest sense of calm that I hear people talk about, because we talk about meditation, we talk about being grateful, we talk about being thankful, and many times prayer is the way that people get there. And it's hard. I've had people say, it's hard to just keep believing, Leigh, because that will be my advice is, you've got to keep believing, focus on what you can control, keep your eyes on your goals. And, I come around it with positive psychology, but for some people, talking to God works wonders.
Yeah.
Or whoever that higher spirit is, God, whoever that is.
Yeah. Faith-based prayer, I think, is something that we don't talk enough about it. So I just thought I would bring that up to you. Well, Leigh Richardson, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that we continue the conversation, just talking about, the trends in therapy, brain health. It's so important, and just want to put that into your mind. Leigh, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Leigh Richardson.